Well, greetings and welcome. I'm Pastor Eric from Zion Lutheran Church in beautiful Redmond, and we are on chapter 6 as we read through the Gospel of Luke for Christmas. And today's reading has some more teaching and healing, and it also has what's called the Sermon on the Plain. In Luke, it's a Sermon on the Plain. In Matthew, it's a Sermon on the Mount, some of the same teachings. Matthew kind of goes longer with the teachings of Jesus in those 3 chapters, and in Luke, it's a Beatitudes kind of, and a little bit shorter. So here it is for Luke chapter 6. One Sabbath, while Jesus was going through the grain fields, his disciples plucked some grains of wheat, rubbed them in their hands, and ate them. But some of the Pharisees said, "Why are you doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" Jesus answered, "Have you not read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God and took and ate the bread of the presence offered to God, which is not lawful for anyone but the priests to eat, and gave some to his companions. And he said to them, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." On another Sabbath, remember yesterday we read one day, one time, now it's another time. On another Sabbath, he entered the synagogue and taught, and there was a man whose right hand was withered. The scribes and Pharisees watched him to see if he would cure on the Sabbath, so that they might find an accusation against him. Even though he knew what they were thinking, he said to the man who had the withered hand, I love that. Even though he knew what they were thinking, he knew what they were going to object to. He said to the man who had the withered hand, "Come and stand here." He got up and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or to destroy it?" Kind of trying to catch him. And looking around at all of them, he said to them, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was restored. But they were filled, the scribes and Pharisees, with fury and disgust with another what they might do to Jesus. Now during those days, he went out to the mountain and prayed. Remember we talked about that yesterday, about Jesus going to the mountain, withdrawing, and praying more in Luke than he does any of the other Gospels. And when day came, he called his disciples and chose 12 of them, prayed before every important event, prayed before calling the 12 of them. Simon, whom he named Peter, and his brother Andrew and James, and John and Philip and Bartholomew, and Matthew and Thomas, and James, son of Alphaeus, and Simon, who was also called the Zealot, and Judas, son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. See, when the disciples are listed, Peter is almost always listed first. Judas is almost always listed last when the 12 disciples are talked about. He came down with them and stood on a level place with a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all over Judea, Jerusalem, and the coast of Tyre and Sidon. They had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases, and those who were troubled with unclean spirits were cured. And all in the crowd were trying to touch him, for power came out from him. Remember, filling with the Spirit, the substantive quality, they thought that if they touched him, that they would be cured because of the power of the Spirit. For power was coming out of him, and he healed all of them. Then he looked up at his disciples and said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are those who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude you, revile you, and defame you on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for surely your reward is great in heaven. For that is what their ancestors did to the prophets." And then this is something unique to Luke. He says, "But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who are laughing now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all speak well of you, for that's what their ancestors did to the false prophets. But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer to the other also. Friend, from anyone who takes your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Okay, the golden rule. If you love those who loves you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, says a second time. Do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. He also told them a parable. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above the leader, but everyone who fully qualifies will be like the teacher. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, friend, let me take the speck out of your eye, when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will be able to see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit, for each tree is known by its own fruit. Figs are not gathered from thorns, nor are grapes plucked from a bramble bush. Think of the wisdom here. This is just awesome stuff. The good person out of the good treasure of the heart produces good, and the evil person out of evil treasure produces evil, for it is out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? I will show you what someone is like who comes to me and hears my words and acts on them. That one is like a man building a house who dug deeply and laid the foundation on rock. When the flood came, the river burst against that house, but it did not shake it, because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not act is like a man who built a house without a foundation. When a river burst against it, immediately it fell, and great was the ruin of that house. Here endeth chapter 6. I want to read a prayer by Edward Beauvais-Pouzet, who was an Anglican priest. He became the leader of the Oxford movement, which eventually evolved into Anglo-Catholicism, and it reads in this way. I'll read it twice. Good Jesus, born at this time, a little child of love for us, be born in me, so that I may be a little child in love with you. Let me read again. Good Jesus, born at this time, a little child of love for us, be born in me, so that I may be a little child in love with you. Enjoy your day. I look forward to reading the next chapter tomorrow. And until I see you again, you take care. Bye-bye.